Hey, welcome back to Battleground Believers. This week we're continuing the conversation with Scott Gilliam.
Yep.
Man, I had a hard time with names with Darren. He had two first names, so
Yeah.
it kind of freaked me out. But Scott Gilliam, a retired police officer of Bluffton, Indiana, still lives there today. Excuse me, last week we went through, we found out that as a kid you got to travel and watch a lot of preaching and teaching, but at 15 is when you decided to give your life to the Lord and got baptized in a cool creek.
In a creek.
Really neat. And then kind of had a relationship with the Lord. And then at 22, the youngest cop,
Yep.
or the youngest police officer, I don't know if cop's a bad thing,
No.
youngest police officer in Bluffton.
Yep.
And became a police officer, met a beautiful woman, and fell in love and had some children. Through that, though, started making some compromises and things went south and ended up getting divorced, which I don't know why I feel kind of, as Christians, I think we need to just be real.
Be real honest. I mean,
Right, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times people try to hide it like, he had a, like white women, he had a season. No, he went through a divorce. He made a mistake and fouled it up really bad.
He done messed it up.
Yeah. But now we're back. So you had alluded to the fact that you met a Christian counselor,
Yes.
a little old lady at Ossian who's probably, running through the streets of gold right now.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to seeing her again. But I want to pick that story up from there. Just kind of, you alluded to the fact that you had gotten kicked out or you had moved out, and your world absolutely turned upside down.
Yeah.
But you didn't stay there, because if you did, you want to be on Battleground Believers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's some redemptive in that process, because I think sometimes people that are struggling, they don't understand the process, because it's not a process. You don't just go, I'm not saying it can't happen that way. Your life falls apart, and then all of a sudden you say, hey, Jesus, save me. Because you have to deal with my friend Chaz always says, just because you become a Christian, it doesn't take you out of the human experience.
Yeah.
And so,
You still got to pay that child support.
yeah, child support's there, the rumors, the bad looks, and the guilt and shame.
Yep.
So, bam, divorce, moved out or kicked out, and I just kind of want to pick up from there and talk about what your mindset was, like how you viewed God and how you viewed the world, and that process of changing.
Well, like I said, I went to this marriage counselor for a year, or Christian counselor for a year, and.
But by you, did you want to do that, or did?
Yeah, no, that was all me.
So you moved out and you thought, I need help.
I need to figure this out. You betcha. And,
okay.
Yeah, I need this help, and there is no doubt in my mind that God put her in my life, and He put her there for a reason. She kind of put me back on the straight and narrow, and like I said, I learned a lot about myself, a whole lot about myself. And she taught me how to be a better person and a better husband. And, I've reaped those rewards since then.
So in the beginning, though, when you first started with like, I know, like in the beginning of things, sometimes even after a mistake, we think to ourselves, I want to get counseling. But then even when you're sitting in the counseling, you're like, this dude's a lunatic. I know what I'm doing. I know I made a mistake. Did you ever have a moment like that? Or were you just like, hey, I am effed up, and I know I'm effed up, and I need absolute help. And so you went in, eyes wide open, like, hey, change me, fix me.
Yep.
And did the discussion start with faith and Christianity, or did it start like...
I think it started, it's been so long ago, but, it's been 20-some years ago, but it started... more traditional in a counseling method, and at the time I was trying to get my ex-wife to attend, and she never would, but that's her problem.
yeah, well,
that's on her now.
Yeah, she was hurt.
Yeah, she was hurt.
And you look back on things sometimes, and it's hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
Right. I look back on things that I did, and I am so thankful to be married to the woman I am, and I feel like God put us together, but I wish I would have gone about it different.
Yeah.
So now you're going to counseling, and So are you still, at this point, did you run back to church? Did you run back to God? Or were you just kind of like...
I did. I did bounce around a little bit from a couple of different churches, but at the same time, being in a small town, you deal with all the extra crap. You feel like a black sheep.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had people, I would see them at Walmart and I would go to say hi to them and you could see them speed up. And then my arrogance and my youngness, I would follow them around and talk to them just because I was like, you don't want to talk to me because you think I'm this horrible person.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
But you're not just going to ignore me. I'll
Yeah.
be like, hey, how's the family? And they'd be walking. Oh, they're good. And we'd be moving through the whole thing of Walmart. So I totally, I understand exactly what you're talking about.
That was hard to deal with. And, and the guilt, particularly with the children and not being with them all the time, missing out on some of their activities, because of life. But, I would pick them up on Sunday morning and we'd go to a church, a Life Church or the Hope Missionary in Bluffton. It's a couple different places. Quit going to the church that we had been at for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah. Oh, well, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you know what? There was a pastor and an associate pastor at that church at that time, and I'm still friends with them. So, it's not. I'm not disparaging any church.
Yeah, and again, I think probably when you were going through that, life was churches and life were different. And I don't know when you actually, but like when I look back at the time I was in church, there was times where I remember we were so focused on behavior, and that counted for everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if somebody did something that we thought was beyond the pale, cheated on their wife or, committed a crime, embezzled money, all of a sudden they were damaged goods.
Yeah.
Like they had all of a sudden they're not redemptive, and I don't want to talk to them because if I talk to them somehow that makes me part of that.
But look at the men that Jesus took as his disciples.
Oh yeah, they're train wrecks.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. So
yeah,
there shows you the redemption right there.
Well, look at the Hall of Faith, right?
Yeah.
It's a prostitute in there. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
if we brought somebody into church and said, "Hey, this is my friend Sally. She's a lady of the night, and she decided the other night she wants to become."
Most churches would.
They'd be like, "Oh,
lock the doors."
Yeah, but I think now there's a lot of people that are really starting to come around to the idea of we need to love people. That doesn't mean we bring her in and then start telling people, hey, by the way, Sally's going to be a part of our church and she's going to offer her services to you guys. You know what I mean? We don't do we don't do that, but we say, hey, Sally, you're in the gutter. Let's come out of that gutter.
Yeah.
And we're not just going to label you as the worst moments of your life. We're going to, because Jesus doesn't see that, right? When he looks at us, when the Lord looks at us, he looks at us through the veil of the sacrifice of Jesus. But okay, so now it drove you to your knees. You wanted a relationship. You spent some time with this Christian counselor.
Yep.
And so after a year, so at some point did you kind of pulled yourself out and then really fall back in love with the Lord?
I did. It got much better. I did a lot of reading and studying, and that helped a lot, even though, maybe I didn't go every week to church, just because of work or whatever, but, I was still doing the reading and the studying and doing all I could with the kids, so.
I think I think the prayer and Bible study, actual reading of the Word is, I'm going to say this, and I know maybe in the comments people are is more important than I think going to church is important, right? Yeah. It says surround yourself with believers, and the world will know us by that love we have for one another, and it's important to be there. Yeah. But what I think keeps us strong is that because it's a daily relationship. It'd be like your wife Jenny, right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you just met her on Saturday night, hey Jenny, I'm here. Let's make sure this marriage is good, and then you're like, see you Saturday. that relationship's going to crumble real fast. And I think the Lord is exactly the same way.
Yeah.
You know, you go on Sunday and you go, yeah, man, I got to sing that Brandon Lake song I love. And the pastor, he didn't even look at me this time. And he preached on something I'm not dealing with. This is a great week.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, see you next Sunday, Lord.
Yeah.
That it's harder, and a lot of people live that way in the beginning. But at some point when you really start to fall in love with who Jesus is and have that relationship, then it's like, I want to pray. I want to read. And I find myself sometimes saying things like this week, because I've been struggling, and I'm like, Lord, on my way to work, you got to help me. You got to help me, man. You know, and it becomes a part of who we are. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you after you kind of went through that year, and you did you develop a habit of prayer and Bible reading of your own?
Yeah. Yeah.
So where do we go from there? So now you're a year out. This lady's taught you.
Divorce is final. You know, and still had, still was dealing with a lot of the guilt and and the shame, you know, and being in a small town. So I took a job that took me to Michigan. Moved up there. I did attend a church up there, but while I was up there, my dad got sick. So I spent week after week after week driving home on the weekends. Oof. You know, I mean, it was only in Kalamazoo, but still, it was a 3-hour ride each way. And,
yeah. Thank God gas prices were cheap probably at that time.
Yeah, but I was driving a Dodge pickup truck that got terrible mileage. Oh. So, you know, it was, but and then when I was up there, I was missing so much back here. You know,
kids and family,
and activities, and my oldest daughter was starting in sports and in middle school, and I can't do this.
So had you met Jenny yet at this point?
I had technically, yes.
Okay, well, wait.
That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story. But I was trying to figure out how she kind of, again, not to go too far or get way out or go in an area you don't want to talk about, but at some point you meet her. Really interesting story.
Right.
I would love to bring you back and have both of you in here and have this conversation. But when you met her, were you like, man, that's the chick?
Well, I'll tell you, we got associated again through softball.
So later on, okay.
Yeah.
So the first time you met, it was the incidental contact that you guys had, and then later on you met her. She had obviously changed.
She was married.
When she was on the softball?
Yeah.
You met her on the softball?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she had 2 daughters, and I had 2 daughters, and I was coaching all 4 of them.
So the kids were playing. You guys weren't playing.
And her husband at the time was my assistant coach.
Should we ask her if she's okay with us telling these stories?
Well, I'm not going to go too deep into
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. If you say something you're not supposed to, that's not on me.
And sadly, I mean, Dan passed away. Her husband passed away 2007, I think.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't until at that point that we got together. And I think she's even told me before that her and Dan had talked about, you know, what happens after, because they knew that he was terminal.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, they knew he was terminal. He had cancer. Mm-hmm. And they'd even talked about, you know, who she might get
Did
together
they mention your name?
They did. How about that?
He's a prophet.
Yeah.
Was he? Were they believers?
They were Catholic. So
Christian Light.
Yep.
Forgive me, Chris, with a whole bunch of rituals. But they had really not so much dwelling on that, but they have a faith in Jesus Christ, even if it's through the Catholic.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had a faith.
Yeah.
God, I don't see God going like this. Oh, sorry, you're Catholic.
No,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, right.
That's
I don't see that either.
So now you guys, so you guys are just for friends,
Yeah.
hanging out, and you're
Yep.
coaching her kids and your kids, and
Yep.
I love coaching.
Yeah.
And then,
It was fun. It was the best.
and you knew her ex-husband?
Yeah.
And you were friends with him?
Yeah, he was my assistant coach.
And then, so then he passes,
Yeah.
and obviously it wasn't like, Wedding Crashers where you're showing up at, at the funeral. Hey.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So there's some time, just so everybody knows, his wife is in the studio and she's giving me a very dirty look through the window. So you guys are friends. Dan unfortunately passes.
Yeah.
And then, so there's a time, and is there just like cordial meetings like, hey, we're going to, she happens to still be coming to softball?
We started exercising, walking together, and that's kind of where it kicked off from there.
Yeah.
Because, need to lose a little weight and whatever, but, that's kind of where, we were just friends and just hanging out, and that's kind of where it all kicked off.
So, was she still Catholic at the time then when you...
She claimed she was a part of the second largest faith that's former Catholics.
Okay.
She didn't attend.
Okay, so
She didn't regularly attend Catholic church.
But you had a relationship with the Lord.
I did, and again, but I wasn't attending regularly anywhere.
Right. But then you guys meet, and we fast forward whatever the timeline is,
Right,
and now things are starting to develop. Like, hey, I like this lady.
Yeah.
And so when you guys came together, and actually, and I'm not talking about like the dating. I'm talking about where you guys like, you're my man and you're my lady.
Yeah.
Was there discussions on faith and Christianity? Did you have to kind of re-lead her?
Really, at that point, there wasn't. And I don't know if she even knows this part, but that's one thing that kind of bothered me early on. That it wasn't that we were unevenly yoked, as the Bible says, but it was different. Catholic to Christian, whatever. I'm happy to say that's all changed now, but
I was assuming. I'm hoping that we're building to
yeah.
that like you had this amazing story. One night she's upset and I led her to Jesus. I took her in the bathtub and I baptized her.
No, nothing like that. But we got married 2009, blended our families. My oldest daughter and her youngest daughter, she has twins, but her youngest twin and my oldest daughter are like sharing a brain. They're best friends till today.
Cool. That's
it's really nice to see.
They call you dad or coach?
Dad. Yeah.
I mean, I know your daughters, but I meant
or her kids call me Scooter. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I don't know.
Hey.
So
it's a term of endearment.
It is. So
now you guys are together. You were obviously, you just talked about it, feeling like, hey man, this faith thing's, I'm here, she's kind of here. What brought you guys to the point where, was there something?
This is where it gets good.
Oh. Well, we're almost through the episode, man. So
3 years ago, her brother, his wife, and their 2 kids got baptized at Murray Church, and they invited us to service, okay, for the baptism.
Murray, Indiana.
Murray Missionary. Yep.
Hey, I know where that is. I used to, my job. I used to have to go
through there.
I used to. I'm a garbage man, but I used to pick up. I know exactly. I picked that trash up at that church.
Yeah, there you go. So we went to the baptism, and I had been praying that we might find a church together, that she might become a Christian, and she said she kind of liked that church, she kind of liked that pastor. Okay. So we started attending pretty regularly.
Really?
In fact, real regularly. We're still today.
Oh, that's where you guys...
Yeah, we're still there today.
Cool.
And it's just been it's been a journey that I loved. I still love.
Growing together as a couple.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Even my wife, sometimes she's like, I was reading the scripture and I felt this way, or Brad, I got a question about this. And sometimes my wife's and I's best discussions are are those.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
pray sometimes that she's going to ask me a question about the Bible. Or she's gonna,
She threw me for a loop yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. She texted me. I was at work. She texted me a question about Leviticus. She's like, "Man, it's been a long time since I read Leviticus. I need to go home and look this up."
that's a rough.
And I did. I got my study Bible, and
That's a rough book. Wow. Yeah, I just got a quick question about the Bible. Can you explain Leviticus to me? No, I can't.
Yeah.
That's Old Testament, baby. We're New Testament.
But it was cool.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
cool.
Well, that's cool. So I'm assuming now that she's a born again, faith believing follower of Jesus.
She was baptized in October, and yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't believe that if you don't get baptized, you don't go to heaven. But
No.
I think if you have the opportunity, do that.
Yep.
And it's I mean, Jesus himself was baptized.
Sure.
So,
but the man on the cross wasn't baptized, but he still went to heaven.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's a you don't die in that car accident and decide to give your life to Christ and then it's like you almost made it but you didn't get baptized. Sorry.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but if you have the opportunity, I think
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful statement and thing to do. But you guys are married and so I would say when you first get married, no matter what, like the first 2 years, it's like life is awesome.
Yeah.
Everything's
Sure.
happening and
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. Girls
But
were
once-
growing up.
Yeah, once you both became born again Christians, or that's an old saying, but followers of Jesus, did you think your marriage went from like where it was to
it
like
did.
exploded?
In the last 3 years, yeah, it has improved. Even, I mean, it was good before, but it's even better now. Even better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the center rock is the Lord Jesus, and
we're both plugged into the church. We're doing things for the church, and that helps too. So.
Yeah. Well, being connected. So again, that Tyrell Lindsay, he's got a swag. I call it swag. It's called "Stay Connected," and the idea is that the scripture says, Jesus says, "I am the vine, and you are the branches.
Exactly
If you abide in me,
Yep.
you'll bear much fruit. Apart from me, you'll bear nothing." And I think that kind of goes true, not necessarily like you have to belong to this church, but
right.
being connected with others, and the iron sharpens iron, and being able to bounce.
Talk about iron sharpen iron, okay? About 4 years ago, I was on my way to work one day, and my oldest daughter called me and told me that my youngest daughter and her fiance, whatever, had split up, and they were, on the rocks. Like, man, I hate to hear that, because he's a good dude. Like I said, now they have 4 kids together, but so I prayed about that on the way to work. That very afternoon, Darren reached out to me about, hey, we do this Bible study on Tuesday nights. Would you like to join us? Absolutely. No doubt in my mind, God put Darren in that position on that day.
Darren,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't have said no for nothing.
that dude's a pretty amazing dude.
He is.
I feel very blessed that I got to be connected with him and friends with him.
Yeah.
So,
and Darren and I have been friends for many years, going back to Bluffton PD. I like to say, and I've told this before in our Bible study, that Darren had field training officers, and then I taught him what not to do. But
I get that.
I kind of taught him the real way.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a running joke with us. So, but yeah, he's a good dude, and I really appreciate him and his friendship, and I appreciate the Bible study that we do on Tuesday nights. So
yeah, I actually had the privilege to come down there, and
you've been there a time or two.
Yeah, and it really is, and he just has a way of. That guy is driven to share the gospel. It's pretty cool. And then he's the reason that we were able to link up with you.
Yeah.
And which I'm so thankful that we got the opportunity to spend some time together here. But it sounds like you're plugged into a church. You pretty much work past all that.
Yeah.
That stuff that happened to you is mistakes that you made. Most of it by your own doing.
Yep.
Found a beautiful wife and built a life and reasserted yourselves back where the Lord is the headship of the marriage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And
got through the guilt with the children, have reestablished, have a great relationship with all the kids. So
do you have a relationship with your ex? Meaning, do you get?
We're not bitter. We see each other at basketball games and birthday parties and things. I like her husband that she's married to now. And so does Jenny.
That's my.
So we're not. We don't go head to head or anything. So
well, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
My grandparents, my grandma, my dad's mom, she, like when I would go visit later on within the last 10 years. So I'd be there and it'd be my grandma Judy and my grandpa Paul and then my grandpa Dunnick and his wife.
Yeah.
And they would be there.
Yeah.
And they would talk and laugh and I remember the first few times I was like, man, this is weird.
I wouldn't say we ever socialized, but we're not at each other's throats.
But they get, it's like you just get to the point where, that
it is,
Yeah, and if you're staying angry and stuff over years, that doesn't do anything for anybody, the kids or yourself. So,
right.
But at least you guys can communicate and that helps the kids.
Yeah.
See mom and dad not.
Yeah. Kids are. My oldest one's 32. So it's been.
You ever miss being a police officer?
I did. In this day and age, I wouldn't do it though.
Yeah,
with
different time.
Yeah, different time. Absolutely. Yeah. I miss the camaraderie. Because they say it's a brotherhood. It really is.
You ever miss the adrenaline dump?
The only thing yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, truth be known, there's things about the military that I hated, but there's things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, man, I wish I had.
Yeah.
I'm too old to do any of that anymore.
Flick a switch and it goes woo 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 and you drive as fast as you can drive. That's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, but but it's been so long now. It's so long, But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it today.
No.
Not with the drugs and the lawyers suing everybody.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, well, we could go down a whole road of.
I don't want any of the body cams.
What's that?
I want nothing with the body cams,
Oh yeah.
So.
It's the world's changing.
It is,
and I think that's why it's so important to
to
talk about stories like this, so that people that are out there that are struggling can say, hey, if Brad did it, that dude's a lunatic. I can do it, and if Scott did it, because through this discussion, I'm a man of divorce because of bad choices and infidelity.
Same with me.
You made some bad choices and infidelity, and sometimes people act like after that you're unusable.
Oh yeah.
And that's not the reality.
No.
Again, I'm not saying go out and have an affair so God can use you.
Yeah, no.
The best testimony in the world is to come to the saving knowledge of Jesus as a young man and live that way.
Yeah.
But also, if you're one of those people that are like, my life's a mess, here's two guys that their life was a mess, and now I have a great marriage. I love my wife, and
me too.
I know thank God she's the type of woman she is, because I infuriate. I think I made her upset today. Just dinking around, and my ADHD is going 1,000 miles a minute. I'm making a bunch of noises, and she's just like, "Oh, just go do the podcast." So I love you. This one's gonna go just a little bit longer. Is there anything, like, if you could go back, or you could talk to a guy that's kind of getting ready to go down the road that you went, what advice would you give him?
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Talk to God first. He'll help you.
Yeah, that gratification is very short-lived, and the shame is way more powerful than that moment.
Absolutely, it makes for a harder life, and I'll tell you a little something here. A few weeks ago, what the preacher was preaching on, but I told Jenny afterwards. I said, back in my old days, that sermon would have made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not living with that.
Yeah.
I'm not living that double life. I'm not living with that guilt or that shame today, and that's because of God.
Yeah. Well, that's funny that you said that, because my wife and I had a conversation about that, because I was thinking about, when you're carrying a double life, there's always pressure, because you're trying to remember what you said. You're trying to remember, like, where was I? Where did I say I was? And then now it's like, my life is so easy, because Patty says, what happened today? I can tell her, because it's all true.
Yeah. You want my phone? Here, look at my phone.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't have to be like, where's my phone at?
Yeah.
I hope a message don't come through or anything. Yeah. And it's sad that I ever had that happen. I was that kind of person.
Right.
But it is nice when you look back, and now we have Life 360 on our phones, because the whole world does that, right? And I got a new phone. I finally got it plugged back on, so I always make fun of her. I'm watching you, but it doesn't bother me, because she knows where I'm at and what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to thank you so much for coming out and being willing to share. I know kind of the stuff that you shared. Some people deal with guilt and shame, and they don't want to, they want to open up and be brutally honest and say, hey, this is where I made a mistake, and I did, but you did. And there's people out there, I guarantee you, there's somebody that's going to watch this that's like, yeah, I'm dabbling in porn, or I'm thinking about having an affair, or I am having an affair, and here's a guy or two guys that got through those things and made and served the Lord. Yeah. I'm serving through Battleground Believers. You're serving through Murray Church and the ministries, and not just that, just being a dad that went through redemption, being a grandpa, and you can look at your grandkids and say, hey, when you make a mistake, there's consequences, but there is redemption. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. It was really nice to get to know you, and we'll see how this goes. You shared a couple things, and I think it would be awesome to have you back on and actually bring your beautiful wife in here and have her. I would like to hear some of her side of this story, and the things that happened to her. So maybe someday we can set that up, and both of you can be in here and just kind of talk about the meeting and her redemption. And like, I think it would be interesting to find out, like, as you guys come together, and she's Catholic, or she's like, however you said it,
non-Catholic,
non-Catholic, where she's like if you ask her, she'll say, yeah, I'm Catholic, but she never did anything with it. And watching you and how that all formed, I think that would be great. So that's an invite, Jenny. We got a big thumbs up.
All right,
so
cool.
But right now we're going to wind this down. We're going to end this episode. Thank you so much, Scott, for your time and your vulnerability and your openness and willingness. And
it wasn't easy. I was a little apprehensive, but
you did awesome.
Thanks.
You couldn't tell. You just went with it. So, again, thank you so much for being part of the audience. We love you. We appreciate you. Continue to interact with us. Email us at battlegroundbelievers@gmail.com, and find us on all streaming sites, most streaming sites anyway. I know Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple Music, we're there. But we're telling his story, meaning the Lord's story, through our story. And that idea is this. The way God worked through my life, he can work through your life. Remember, all that call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Battleground Believers, out.